Road podcast, telling the stories of the South Texas racers from the past and present.
Hello, my name is James Parks, and welcome to the Thunder Road podcast. We're filming here at the Top Hat Signs and Design Studio. I would like to take a moment to thank our sponsors, Top Hat Signs and Designs, Proline Fabrication, S&S Monuments, 112 Bodies, and of course, Pistol and Rebel Parks. On this episode, we're going to discuss the highlights and the lowlights of the local dirt track scene from Cotton Bowl as well as South Texas Speedway. I-37 had a rain out. And also we're going to have Easton and Easton Jackson on the show, and they're going to tell us about their adventures, the trials and tribulations of go-kart racing. So with me today, I have Easton Jackson. He's going to go over some of the results with me from South Texas Race Ranch as well as Cotton Bowl Speedway. I-37, unfortunately, I believe they had a rain out. I think it rained right around intermission time, so none of the features got to run as best as I can tell. But feel free to jump in, tell us about what you saw, tell us some of the highlights, some of the lowlights. It's just part of it, man. On that limited modified deal, who was the grand poopah there? Who was the winner there?
Nathan Titzman.
I heard, I didn't get to see the race, but I heard he was hauling the mail.
He had that thing on rails. I mean, he comes from a great camp, so no slouch there for sure.
No, the kid's fast, and he's been traveling a little bit. He comes from the Makdachek family. Those guys are always fast. I believe he went to Abilene a couple weeks ago. But yeah, I did hear that this was his first feature win at the race ranch.
Yeah, you can tell he's been working hard at it because he just gets better and better and better after every race.
Good deal. Congratulations to him. Daniel Preston, he won in the E-Mods. I don't know who was runner-up in that deal. I know a couple weeks ago Brad was really running hard with him. But
I think it was either Witchy or Brad. I think it was Witchy. Brianna Witchy got second in that deal because Brad and her were racing pretty good.
Cool deal. The pure stocks, man, there was a lot of pure stocks. I don't know that they had the biggest field, but if they didn't, they were really close.
Yeah.
EJ.
My pal EJ Gilpin took the old header on that one.
EJ got her done. I believe Whitaker the third. I'm sorry. I believe he was second, maybe third.
Him and Sullivan had a pretty good little battle towards the checkered.
Cool deal. On the factory stocks, man, the factory stock car count was pretty low. I don't know what we can do to try to get that deal back up, but unfortunately, there was only 4 cars there. Ray Allen Kohanic was the winner in that deal in that Destroyer chassis. On the micro mods, I'm going to let Justin talk about that, and then we'll move on.
Well, it was a good race until third got second got first, and then Gilbert Perez put the old hammer down and ended up taking the checker flag on that one.
So the funny part about that deal is that car belongs to Skip and Cheryl Gray. And it's maintained out of our shop. We've had a few problems with it. So as of 5 o'clock, that car was for sale.
Really?
As it rolled through the pit gate, it was for sale. Gilbert had never driven the car before. I told him, put it in third gear and don't ever lift.
Yeah, he did that.
Yeah. He showed me a nose 8 or 10 times, and I was thinking to myself, man, I should have told him to lift at some point because he was making me work for it a little bit.
Next time you should tell him to throw it in fourth.
Maybe. I ended up losing the clutch in the deal, but I had a great run with him. I was super proud of him for the first time ever being in that car. He won the heat race and the feature. As soon as the feature was over, Skip Gray was at my trailer, and he told me that car is no longer for sale.
Yeah, it was it was a rocket.
No, he had a good time. He told me that was a lot like driving his Outlaw 500 go-kart. He said you really had to get up on the wheel. He said he did not realize the amount of speed that those things had. And the dwarf cars, Dylan Budnick won the feature. Those dwarf car guys, man, like I said, that's a touring series. Hats off to those guys. They're traveling. With the price of fuel and everything else, you just got to give those guys credit, man. They're traveling a long way in some instances and putting on great shows. And those things are hauling ass, too.
Yeah, going from watching them at CC Speedway till now, it's crazy how fast they have
It's night and day difference.
It's crazy.
Yep. At Cotton Bowl Speedway, I don't have all the feature winners, but I'm going to talk about some of the local guys. Man, Jared Maupin, that dude, like I said, anything with the steering wheel and the gas pedal, he's going to be fast and he's going to be a contender. He won the factory stock, is my understanding, and he won the sport mod race. I don't know a whole lot about that, how many car lengths he had or anything, but I'm pretty sure with Jared behind the wheel, he was hauling the mail. What do you know about that dirt truck series?
Jared Barber, he's definitely one to contend with for sure. He's a great driver.
The Barber family's been around a long time. They've been around asphalt racing, been around dirt racing. The family's a great family. He takes after his dad. You know, he's always competitive at the track. He knows what's going on. He's one of those guys, as far as I know. Jarrett doesn't talk a whole lot. He's not going to tell you a whole lot about what he's doing, but when he's on the track, you're going to know he's there.
Yeah, whenever we started racing go-karts, I'd always go over and pick Chuck's brain because I knew that if he didn't know the answer, ain't nobody know the answer.
Yeah, no, and he's a straight shooter. I've asked him a ton of questions tech-wise and some different things, and when I left him, I always felt like he gave me an honest answer, and that's a big deal in the racing community for sure. Our local boy, Memphis Villarreal, he was on one of our previous podcasts. He did race Martinsville Friday night in the truck. Man, I'm super proud of that kid. From racing the local dirt tracks, from running his little Hot Wheels around in the pits. You know, go back and listen to the Memphis Villarreal podcast. It was really neat to understand where his family came from and how they got to where they're at. But he had his first start. He qualified 29th. He finished 24th. He got some airtime on TV.
He did.
He got passed by Kyle Busch, and that's not always a bad thing.
And passed Ross Chastain.
He did pass Ross Chastain. So being passed by Kyle Busch is not a bad thing because when they're zooming in on Kyle, they also got some Memphis there. And he did at one point. He won the lucky dog, so he got his lap back. He did finish on the lead lap. He got to do what most folks only dream of.
So I heard whenever I was watching it that team, that was their fastest or their best qualifying effort. Yep.
Yeah, that's what I understood too. And he also got to do something pretty cool. He got to race that truck on the rain tires and on the race tires. So as much as we don't like to race in the rain, he did get that opportunity.
I don't know how they ran with them blinky lights like that. That drove me crazy watching it on TV. Imagine being in that driver's seat.
He got it done. Super proud of that guy. Like I said, qualified 29th. He finished 24th on the lead lap. You got to give the kid credit. That's an accomplishment for a South Texas racer. That's a good deal. Hats off to him.
Good job.
So we're here with Easton and Justin Jackson, and they're going to talk to us about their trials and tribulations of go-kart racing. Easton, how old were you when you started racing go-karts?
3 years old.
3 years old. And how did that work out for Dad?
Good.
Pretty nervous.
What was the most nerve-wracking deal about that?
Well, the fact that we went out for hot laps and he just kinds of putts around the bottom, and then heat race time comes. Well, all the cars got on the track, and he decided he wasn't going to do it. So then we had to call my uncle and my cousins and everybody to come out there and get them hyped up.
And what track was this at?
It's at LED7
Lawrence's,
Speedway.
all right.
Yeah, so finally got the whole crew there, got them hyped up, and sweaty palms, got him in the go-kart, and he just ran the bottom of the track.
He just did his thing.
Catfishing the bottom. And I think he was going supersonic speed at maybe 4 miles an hour.
Top speed?
Top speed. And we did that for about 4 or 5 races, and I was okay with it because he was stayed out of everybody's way, did his own little thing, and then all of a sudden a light switch clicked on.
We had a similar situation with Pistol. She just went her speed, and then, like you said, one day she just decided to go. So I definitely understand that.
Oh, yeah.
So before we got to the track, though, how did we acquire the go-kart? How do we request all the proper permissions?
So I actually bought Emmett Porter's. It's Hunter Porter's go-kart that we got, and went to the track, and I was racing flat karts at the time, and I came home with the go-kart without any permission. I just said, hey, we got it.
We have a go-kart.
I need your permission to let Easton start racing. And at the time, he's 2 years old, but he was going out to the go-kart track with me the whole time and doing everything like that, and Ringo's, that's what everybody needs, or every 2-year-old needs is a go-kart, Justin. I said, well, it could be good things, right? So she gave me the blessing as long as I got all the safety stuff going on with it. And she gave me the blessing, and sure enough, we made it out there, and she was about nervous as can be, and I was about as nervous as I could be, and he kicked it off and did pretty good.
That's cool. No, having a child of my own into go-karts, it is a little nerve-wracking from the dad's point of view. I tell Eric all the time, my responsibility is that the go-kart starts and that it gets there. What Pistol does on the track, that's her deal. But it is very nerve-wracking. You do everything you can for them. You put them out in the track, and then it's theirs. They're going to go whatever speed they want to go. But tell me a little bit about how you got involved in racing.
Well,
did you start at 3?
No, I started at about 14 years old. It was like 2003. Me and Sean Borland were actually really good buddies, or my dad and Sean Borland were really good buddies. And he built me a 1973 Volkswagen Super Beetle, and I raced at CC Speedway.
Did it have the spiderweb windshield?
It had the spiderweb windshield and the welding rod mohawk.
There you go. Yep.
And
if some of y'all don't know, Sean Borland was a craftsman. Sean did work for me for a little while, and I always said that he was probably the most talented gentleman with metal.
Very much so. Great guy.
Yeah, he
Great
really
guy.
was.
And so I got pushed around the track more than anything because I couldn't drive a standard to save my life. I actually had to borrow my uncle, Bill Stevens, Dodge Dakota to go drive around King High School parking lot, learn how to drive stick shift. And, well, I know Sean got a kick out because he was actually the wrecker there at CC Speedway. And he pushed me more than I think I made more laps on that track.
So can Easton drive standard yet?
No, but he could drive a dirt bike. But yeah, so I did that and ended up wadding it up in the wall because the throttle hung up. And we got rid of the bug because it was totaled. And
there were some LTDs. I remember some LTDs.
So Sean Borland had the LTDs sitting there in the old Bluff Rack garage. And we put a cage in there. Him and my dad put a cage in there. And we went racing at the dirt track. And then all of a sudden, my brother Kyle got into it, and then David got into it. So my dad had 3 Ford LTD 4-doors.
No, I remember it being a show. It didn't matter if you guys were racing for first or for last, but wherever y'all were at, that was the show because neither one of y'all wanted to lose.
No.
So it was literally wreckers or checkers. Brotherly love was definitely on display.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome because we raced when bombers were bombers. I mean, junkyard motors. You went there and you see how many miles are on the odometer before you said, okay, that's the motor we got to get right there.
But you had a good time.
We had a great time.
You had a good time.
Hell, I ran snow tires thinking I was cheating at sometimes because I thought it was faster than other things. You know what I mean?
So after the LTDs were gone and demolished, they got scrapped?
I don't know where they're at, to be honest with you. I think
if anyone has seen a gold or red or a yellow LTD, let us know.
Yeah, please, because I would love to get that motor out of it. That was my graduation money. But then we got into street stocks. My grandpa went and got me a street stock, and we started racing street stocks, and actually did very, very, very well in the street stocks.
We competed quite a few times. I was driving my dad's street stock at the time. And you were driving, I think it was the blue car back then.
It was a blue, then we transferred it to red. Yep.
No, we had a lot of good races back then. I actually kind of forgot about that. But no, we had a lot of good runs back then. And those cars were like hobby stocks. They weren't like super crazy. They didn't have, full weight jacks all the way around. But we had big motors.
We had big motors.
My dad's deal was I'll make it run, you make it turn.
Yeah.
But no, we had a lot of good races doing that stuff. So from there, where did we go with the hobby stock, street stock stuff?
So we did the hobby stock. I think we won 2 track championships in the hobby stocks. And then that went on for about, I think, 4 or 5 years. And I started driving Skip Gray's Limited. I think it was the 01, and before they were even BD cars. And
the legendary... the legendary sport mod feature that everyone remembers.
One and done sport mod feature, yes. And it was fun. I tell you what, I had a blast because I started on the pole. I went from, green to checkered, and
he never lifted.
Burned that right side tire down, and
we were all just waiting for the right rear tire to explode. Honestly, like I remember thinking, "Holy hell, Jackson's gonna win this thing!" And he never lifted. The car was sideways. Yeah. It was on 2 wheels at one point. He never let out of the gas.
It was fun because I didn't realize the transition from the street stock where you had, motor and you can go all you want, but then you had to play with these soft tires and feather them
cars,
through. And, yeah, it was a big difference.
And it being a BD car, I'm sure it had plenty of motor.
Oh yeah, it was good. It was a good car.
Well, that's cool. So we kind of transitioned. We did some mini stock stuff. We did some street stock stuff. We did some limited stuff. And then
I retired.
You retired, like you were done. Yeah. You were one of the smart ones that got away.
Well, yeah. What kind of work got involved, and then I just kind of went on about it, and then I had Easton or had kids, and then
life changes.
My brother started racing yard karts out at L87, and I went out there like a dummy and watched him one time, and then got the itch again and got a flat kart and started racing flat karts, and then Easton was 2 at the time, and then started going out there with me all the time. And then I was like, okay, well, then we get him a kart at 2, and then going on. And then I was like, you know what? I was racing, and he was racing actually at 3. And then I was really focused on my kart, and it was kind of just secondhand stuff with him. And then I was like, nah, this ain't going to work. So I ended up getting rid of my kart to focus 100% on him, and probably the best decision I made.
Yeah, no, that's actually one of the deals that I deal with right now, honestly. So with pistol racing her go-kart, like it takes full advantage. Like I want her to be able to take full advantage of my time and my capabilities. So if there's a week or a Saturday night that my class is running and she's running her karts, I leave mine at home just because I could race my car anytime. The kids with school, with all that stuff, it's not always as easy for them. If I can devote my time to her, that's what we do. Definitely understand that. So at basically 2, we got the go-kart. At 3, we got final permission, and then we were turning laps at Lawrence's track. Now, a lot of you guys out there do know Lawrence and do know L87 Speedway. Some of you don't, so I give you a brief rundown on that deal. Lawrence literally built a racetrack in his backyard, and it's been a huge deal for the local racers, mostly the local kids. 95% of the kids that you see racing at the race ranch have turned laps at Lawrence's, and that's a great deal. We really do, as a community, don't realize how big of a deal that is. So hats off to Lawrence, and thank him for doing that.
And the efforts is unreal out there. I mean, top-notch track. We love it. We love going out there.
So he's out there turning laps, running max speed. Let's say 5 mile an hour.
5.
We'll do 5. We'll do 5. So tell us how that transition happens.
So we just kind of went out and we called Lawrence, hey, can we get some practice going on? And we just keep on going with it. And all of a sudden, he starts getting faster and faster and faster. And I was like, okay. At this time, I'm, just focused and trying to get him just to settle down. And then we start going over GoPro videos.
Yeah.
Got GoPro on there. So then I take the GoPro, we sit him down, and we watch footage. And we still, to this day, sit down and watch every lap that he runs. And I think that has made him see a different angle of it, right? Yeah. And it helps him out.
No, it's a huge tool. Race on Texas is a huge tool. Being able to watch those videos, the GoPro videos. We've even noticed some things on our big cars that we thought we understood until we actually saw some video and we were way off. So that's a huge tool for all racers to use.
And the biggest thing about him is he's a young driver. He can't come off the track and be like, hey, Dad, I'm pushing. Hey, Dad, I'm loose. Hey, I don't have enough gear. So I go back and I watch that, and that helps me help him.
What's going on, right? Okay. So we're racing at Lawrence's. We're doing the regular, let's call it a Saturday night deal, and then the Stars event. That's a huge deal in the Corpus area. So tell us a little bit about the first Stars event for you guys.
So the first Stars, Easton was 4 in the first Stars event, and like this time he's still trying to get the speed built up, and then I think that with being able to get faster and faster and faster, he actually does really good. I think he ends up 3rd in points in the first Stars event, and just consistent, very consistent.
How do you keep him focused? I mean, that he's that young. We all of us that have kids, we all know how hard it is to keep children focused. But how do you keep them focused on what's going on at the racetrack?
So with him being young, he always wanted to go run off and play with his friends, right? And he gets tired real easily. So I said, Easton, come on, help me understand. Let's watch everybody, what they're doing. And then after you get done racing, you can go play with your friends, go ride your bikes, do whatever you wanted to do, right?
But the racing comes first.
The racing comes first, and then we go play with your friends. And he understood that. And that's what, helped me out. And then just keeping the rhythm going with it, So
as he's watching, he's also kind of learning the process, what the flags mean, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we went over the flags.
What was one of the biggest hurdles that you guys had?
The biggest hurdles...
My kid tried to knock the wall down. So
door slamming.
Going in.
Yeah.
I do recall some door slamming. Yeah.
I think you did.
We'll talk about that later.
But yeah, door slamming is the biggest thing at a young age because he didn't understand. He just wants to go wide open, go in the corner, and that was the biggest hurdle so far. But I'm just very grateful because he actually listens and he sits down and he acknowledges what he does wrong, and it makes it easy on me.
Does he help you with the cart as
Very
far
much
as
so.
He's always and things like that?
We are always out there. I mean, his deal is to clean the chain, make sure the chains are greased, and then make sure we have the same tires because I all have numbers on them. Make sure those same tires are on that cart before we go out there. Our special match tires, right?
That's cool. So, Easton, you want to tell us anything about those special match tires?
They're good.
They're good. Good answer. Good answer. No, so this year I participated in the enduro that they had at the Stars event. So I went out on the practice night and was trying to make some laps. And I'm a big guy, in case you hadn't noticed. And I thought I was doing really well. And then all of a sudden I got punted going into, I guess it was turn 3. I got punted. I looked over and I was like, that little kid, he punted me right out of the way. But it was cool. We had a good time. And then I think he was bragging about it until he saw me get out of the go-kart.
He did. He goes, Dad, I think I just hit Pistol's dad. I was like, no, you waylaid Pistol's dad.
I think the words were you hit the biggest guy here.
Yeah. And I need some backup for that one, pal.
All in fun. So the first Stars event, we were learning, we were gaining some speed.
We did,
and then we did some local racing again. Lawrence's and South
and
Texas
the
Race Ranch. And what kind of success did we have at any of those places?
So we've actually have a bunch of second place finishes, right? And then I wouldn't say getting discouraged. It's
a humbling,
what am I doing wrong?
Humbling sport.
Yeah, what am I doing wrong? Why can't I get him faster, right? And then so I just started doing homework. Just started reading up and going on the internet and like I said, go-karts, I didn't know a lot about go-karts. Jump in and go have fun, right? So then I started really doing my research and then found some techniques and stuff, how to get them faster. And then all of a sudden, we went out there, and I think we won 12 or 14 races there at the Stars event.
At the Stars event, yeah.
And man, that was fun. You know what I mean? Seeing his first win and how excited he was, and
I think was it the first or second event at the Stars? He was leading the show when we lost
it was
the chain.
The first event. Yeah, it was a Junior 1 race because I didn't have him in Junior 2 in the first event. And then I was like, man, he's fast.
Yeah,
he's doing good. And then he broke the chain. So what I did was took him off the track, went over there, we fixed the chain real quick, and we got him out for the Junior 2 race. And then I went over to Owen, I said, here, he's entered in this one. I gave him $20. I was like, he's entered in this race, let him race. And Owen said, okay, let's go. So then he, with the green restrictor plate, ended up getting second in that race. I'm like, okay, that's cool. And then I told my wife, I was like, we're going to put him in Junior 1 and 2. And then I had to get my posse together to get that plate, add weight, and then get everything changed over. And
sometimes just changing classes isn't super easy.
Yeah.
But once you kind of find that niche where you guys are comfortable, where the crew's comfortable, where the driver's comfortable, it's a smoother transition after that. The first race or two is a little tough trying to figure out what to do with all that
Once we got our rhythm going on, because we had to add for the Junior 1, Junior 2, I think it was like 35 pounds we had to add. So after Junior 1, we had to add that 35, change the restrictor plate, and go out there. And I didn't want to do, because I did 2 classes at the first Stars event, and I didn't want to do the 2 classes again. But, well, me being me, I knuckled down and did it.
If you're there, you're there. You're going to go ahead and do what we can, utilize the time as best we can anyway. So we did the Stars event. Obviously, I think, if my statistician is correct, you won the most races for the total at the Stars event of all classes. So good job.
Thank you.
That was pretty cool, huh? How many of those flags did you get? Did you get one of them flags from, who was that? S&S Monuments? They're giving out those flags?
Yes.
Cool deal. All right, so we loaded up. We loaded up from the Stars event. We left the go-kart in the trailer for a couple weeks.
We did.
And then what happened? Where'd we go?
To Dallas.
To Dallas.
And what'd you do up there?
I got second place.
Well, tell us about your adventure. Tell us everything that we want to know. Did you sleep in the truck on the way up there? You were so excited you probably couldn't sleep. Yeah. All right, Dad, tell us about the adventure.
So,
have you ever been to this track before?
We've never been to this track, and I've been seeing it all over Facebook. I was like, and I heard Gilbert Perez telling me about it, and I've heard a lot of people telling me good things about Cam Cartway, and so I told my wife, I was like, let's do it. What do we got to lose? Let's do it. So we loaded up, and we went, and I tell you what, a different experience.
Probably so.
By far, because I unloaded this Bluff Rack go-kart. People were looking at it.
Oh, don't sell yourself short. That's a nice car.
It is a good car. We got good stuff, but man, compared to everybody else's over there,
brought to you by S&S Monument.
Yes, thanks, Mom. And so we unloaded, and people were coming over looking at this thing. I'm like, okay, all right. And I'm going to everybody else's, and then diamonds.
Immaculate.
Oh yeah, it's perfect. So we get out there to practice night, and Easton just blew the doors off of it. And I'm like, well, we got a chance, in practice, but everybody's fast in practice, right?
Yeah.
So we did really good the first 2 sessions, and then we come back in, and I'm like, okay, we got good. Now people are walking over, looking at it more.
You've caught some attention now.
So I'm like, All right, what are they looking for? Well, then all of a sudden they wanted to take the 90-degree elbow off of there, and they want me to put a muffler on it because they said it had more horsepower without the muffler. And I'm like, okay. So I did all that.
Yeah, so you accommodated what they wanted done.
Yeah. So I made sure everybody was happy with it. And so we went and line up for hot laps on Saturday. Sure enough, go to start the motor, pull cord brakes.
Oh.
I said, oh, man, just my luck.
Warranty's over.
Yep. So the people there are phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. They're like, go get another one. Go get another one. So I'm over there taking one off another motor. I had in the trailer, got over there, put it on there, and this guy starts my motor for it, and Easton goes out and practices. Well, their practice, they got 1, 2, 3, and then you pull off, right? So then he goes back up about 15 minutes later for his heat race. I got it all fixed up. He starts second and ends up winning the heat race. I'm like, man, we got a chance. Like, we're good. I mean, we're fast. So then that was at like 7:45 in the evening. Well, we didn't race our feature race until 11:45.
Oh man, I bet he was tired.
He took a 4-hour nap in the trailer.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, he was sleeping the whole time. Oh, Easton, it's time to race. Ooh.
That goes back to how do we keep them focused?
Yes.
It's hard to keep kids focused for that long.
And then because they were playing for 2 days in the pits, football and riding their bikes.
Just being kids.
Oh, just being kids. That's what I love about it, man. These kids love it. They don't. The go-kart's just a bonus, right?
Yeah.
It's all about the friendships.
Sometimes it's more, as they say, a play date, and then go-karts get in the way.
Yeah, because
So-
you can have the go-kart out there. They don't care about the go-kart.
The funny thing to me about kids and go-karts is, because like I said, Pistol, my daughter, she races. Those kids can go out there, run over each other, beat on each other, flip over in some instances, and then they get out and they go play football or ride their bikes together like nothing ever happened.
Yep.
Adults, we can't do that.
No.
It's not going to happen.
Thanks, Kyle.
So the Cam Cartway, is that what it's called?
Cam Cartway.
That was a great experience for you guys.
Great experience.
They say you're only as good as who you race, and racing at a local level, you know where you stand, obviously. So when you travel out of town, you get to race against people you don't necessarily know. I do know a gentleman that his son races up there, and they say it's a very competitive track.
Very competitive, yes.
So how did the feature go?
Feature did good. We started on the pole because we won our heat, and Easton took off, had a nice little lead, and he was racing Coco Halpane.
Yep.
Right? Well, then Easton kind of ran the berm a little bit, got washed up, and Coco just got by, and then he had 3 laps to go and couldn't run him back down. But, man, I tell you what, it's very, very, very good talent out there.
Yeah, well,
And
the feeling that you had, the nervousness, honestly, of what you had, getting there, not knowing how you were going to stack up against the field. Should we even be here? Why are we doing this? And then you get there, and then the young man runs well.
Yes.
It boosts everybody's morale. His too. He may be too young to realize it, but it did boost his morale. And then you guys roll out there for the feature, and you run very well. That's a huge deal.
a huge deal. I mean, especially with 12 carts, and like I said, it was a stacked field, pretty good. I wanted to run junior too, but up there you can't run 2 classes with 1 cart. You got to have 2 different carts to run 2 different classes. And so I wanted to try to do the junior 1.
Is that
junior
a sanctioned track up there, by?
I'm not 100%. I know it's a AKRA motor rules and stuff like that up there, but not sure about a sanction. But definitely, probably next time we're going to run junior 2 and just see.
So we are going back.
We are definitely going back.
That's cool.
Definitely going back.
And that's something for a lot of the local racers to understand. These guys made the trip. These guys made the journey. So can other racers.
Yeah.
I would like to take my own kids out to do some racing to some tracks that they've never been to before. While we have the opportunity to do it. I tell this story a lot. When I was a young man, I grew up in the Valley, and my dad took me to the go-kart shop. There was a local go-kart shop there in the Valley, and they were going to have a race in Harlingen, and it was like a road race, and I kept telling my dad I wanted to do that. So we went to this guy's shop. My dad is talking to them about this race, this go-kart race, and the lady is telling my dad all the rules and everything, and I'm just a kid. I'm his age, and we leave, and my dad said, "You're not going to do that," and I was like, "I don't understand. Why not?"
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was a race for racing carts, and I had a yard cart, just a regular old yard cart.
Those are fun too, though.
No, I get it. But as a kid, I was like, man, what happened? Why couldn't I do that? So I always use that as kind of a reminder of a lesson I try to explain to my kids. Growing up, we didn't have the opportunity to have the nice carts that we have for these kids now. They weren't as readily available. Money was different back then.
Yeah.
So I try to make my kids understand, you have to really appreciate what's there. Because as a kid, I didn't know there was a difference. So it's really up to us to make sure we keep those kids moving forward that.
We got some, hopefully we get some more tracks. We're going to try to go to Shawnee and go race Shawnee. And my bucket list now is North Carolina. We're going to try maybe next year go to North Carolina and run up there.
Millbridge on a Wednesday.
Whatever day. We're going to try. We're going to see what the schedule's like. And
I believe Tanner and them went to Millbridge last year. Was it last year?
Last year, I believe, yeah. And he told me, let's go. And at the time, I was like, man, there's not enough time for me, right? And I'm going to plan it accordingly, and we're going to try to go.
So this Millbridge Speedway that we're talking about, a lot of the NASCAR drivers, their kids race there. Mm-hmm. If anybody who's anybody and racing a go-kart is going to be at Millbridge on a Wednesday night, multiple classes, different deals, but it's kind of the epicenter of go-kart racing in the Carolinas. Yeah.
It's on the calendar for next year, so we'll hopefully keep that on the calendar and knock it off the bucket list because he wants to race against Owen Larson and who's Clint Boyer's son? Cash. There you go. He likes Cash because that's his brother's name.
While you have the opportunity, I would definitely take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Young man, you ready to answer some questions? Yeah? All right. What's it like to be a go-kart driver at such a young age?
Good.
You really, really like it, huh?
Yes.
All right. What's the best part of go-kart racing? The driving it, the working on it, carrying the flag, the girls.
Hey.
I shouldn't say that. What's the best part of it?
Racing hard.
Racing hard. That's cool. Where do you go from here? What's your next step in the karting world? Are we going right to sprint cars? Yeah, Dad, we're going right to sprint cars.
No, we're not going to sprint cars.
So we're brought to you by S&S Monuments.
Yeah, for all your monument needs. No, hopefully by the time he's 10, we're gonna get him in a pure stock or an E-mod. So that's long term, but it'll work out. We'll make that happen.
Well, good deal. What do you want to be when you grow up?
A NASCAR driver.
NASCAR driver. All right. How did I know that was coming?
All kids' dreams, right?
Yeah. Hell, some of us still have those dreams.
I hope you are, pal.
Don't forget Dad when you're a NASCAR driver. So how about sponsors? Anyone you want to thank about helping you get in that go-kart deal, help staying involved in that go-kart deal? You want to talk to anybody, thank anybody about that?
S&S Monuments, Tall Pack, and
Starry Ranch,
Dar Pro,
Double J Jerky, Sullivan Racing, and Dirty Bodies.
Awesome. Man, I appreciate you guys coming on board today. This is the cool thing. I said I wanted to have this podcast to talk about some of the old racers, and we are doing that, but having some of the young racers like this is pretty neat. This, as far as I know, this is his first interview per se, but
it is.
He's a little nervous, but I think he did just fine myself. And I wish you guys the best of luck in the coming season.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
As the checkered flag flies in this episode, I would like to take the time to thank our sponsors, S&S Monuments, Proline Fabrication, 112 Bodies, and of course, Top Hat Signs and Designs. If you or anyone you know would like to advertise on our show, please email us at the listing below. I would also like to thank the Jackson family, Easton and Justin, for coming on board today, telling us about their stories with the go-karts, the trials and tribulations of kart racing, and their travels.